the impact of the war in Iran has gradually begun to show. Global fuel prices have started to rise significantly. As of March 6, 2026, international oil prices have climbed to more than $80 per barrel. Experts predict that if this war continues for a long time, it could trigger severe inflation around the world. Not only oil prices, but the prices of many other goods are also expected to rise. The Strait of Hormuz, located between Oman and Iran, has been blocked by Iran, which has also warned that it may attack any ships transporting goods through the strait. This strait is a critical global shipping route, carrying about 25% of the world's oil, 20% of natural gas, and 35% of fertilizer shipments. Therefore, if fertilizer, fuel, and gas prices rise, agricultural products will also become more expensive, which will ultimately lead to higher food prices worldwide. However, US President Donald Trump appears less concerned about rising oil prices, prioritizing the war in Iran instead. Speaking to reporters, Trump said he was not worried about the increase in oil prices because they would fall again once the issue in Iran is resolved. Many Asian countries are particularly worried since most of the goods and oil transported through the Strait of Hormuz are destined for Asia. Several countries have announced how long their current oil reserves could last. For example, Japan has reserves for about 254 days, South Korea 208 days, China 200 days, India 74 days, Thailand 61 days, the Philippines 60 days, Indonesia 20 days, and Vietnam 15 days. This means that if the war in Iran is not resolved soon and drags on for weeks or months, a global energy crisis could occur. Beyond the oil crisis, the United States has also identified an armed group that could potentially help overthrow Iran's current leadership, acting as a proxy force for Washington. If this group were willing to cooperate with the United States in overthrowing Iran's current leadership, it could reduce U.S. costs in terms of weapons and American soldiers' lives. The group in question is the Kurdish fighters. The Kurds do not have their own country but live across several nations, including Syria, Iraq, and Iran. Kurdish forces previously assisted the United States in fighting ISIS and in operations that led to the fall of Bashar al-Assad's government in Syria. Speaking to Reuters on March 5, 2026, President Trump publicly expressed support for a Kurdish uprising in Iran as part of U.S. efforts to weaken the Iranian government. One of the most well-known Kurdish leaders, Mustafa Hijri, has called on Iranian soldiers, including members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, to lay down their weapons, abandon their positions, stop serving the current Iranian regime, and return to their families. Some analysts have criticized Trump's approach of using Kurdish forces against Iran, arguing that it could spark a prolonged civil war in the country. They also point out that neither the United States nor Israel has announced any plan to rebuild Iran after the war. However, according to White House officials, the United States has not yet reached any formal agreement with Kurdish armed groups. At the same time, Kurdish groups have not openly accepted U.S. assistance to fight Iran. Nevertheless, Iran's Revolutionary Guard has launched missile and drone strikes against Kurdish headquarters located in Iraq. Analysts believe Iran faces a difficult decision regarding the Kurdish rebels. It is unclear whether Iran should try to destroy the group first or tolerate its presence. If Iran leaves them alone, the Kurds might eventually join forces with the United States. But if Iran attacks them, they will likely retaliate and could align with the United States even faster. Therefore, if Iran decides to eliminate the group, it would have to do so quickly. If not, it may need to reach some form of agreement with them to ensure they do not cooperate with Washington. Regarding the destruction of Iranian military assets, General Brad Cooper, commander of U.S. Central Command, said on March 5, 2026, that the United States has sunk more than 30 Iranian ships since the war began on February 28. Iranian missile attacks have reportedly decreased by about 90% compared to the first day of the war, while drone attacks have fallen by about 83%. According to Cooper, the United States has three main objectives. 1. Destroy Iran's naval forces. 2. Destroy its ballistic missiles. 3. Destroy its nuclear infrastructure. However, the commander did not specify how many ballistic missiles have been destroyed so far. In the operation against Iran, called Operation Epic Fury, the United States has been using highly advanced and expensive weapons. According to a research report published by the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, on March 5, 2026, the first 100 hours of the war cost the United States about $3.7 billion. Of this amount, only $178 million was part of the planned budget, while the remaining $3.5 billion was unplanned spending that requires additional approval from the U.S. Congress. The report states that the largest expense, about $3.1 billion, was spent on munitions. Another $196 million went toward fighter jet flights, aircraft carrier movements, and troop allowances. In addition, the United States spent $359 million repairing damaged infrastructure and replacing lost military equipment. In attacks against Iran, the United States has used extremely expensive missiles. For example, the Tomahawk cruise missile costs about $3.6 million each, and more than 160 have reportedly been used so far in the war. Another example is the SM-3 missile, an air defense interceptor that costs around $25 million per missile. Although it is unclear how many have been used so far, have there been negotiations between the United States and Iran? Speaking from the White House on March 5, 2026, President Trump claimed that Iran had contacted him to request negotiations, but he said it was already too late. After Trump's remarks, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi told NBC News that Iran had made no request for a ceasefire and had not asked to negotiate with the United States. He added that Iran sees no reason to negotiate with Washington because previous negotiations had been followed by attacks from the United States. As for casualties, the number continues to rise. By the seventh day of the war, March 6, 2026, more than 1,230 people in Iran had reportedly been killed in attacks carried out by the United States and Israel. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, heavy Israeli attacks have killed 123 people and wounded nearly 700 others. The strikes have also displaced more than 80,000 civilians. Israel stated that its attacks in Lebanon were targeting Hezbollah forces, which declared their support for Iran against the United States and Israel following the death of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and launched rocket attacks against Israel. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again in the next video.